As we mentioned earlier, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and today's show is dedicated to all the survivors who've beaten the disease and to those who are bravely battling it. Joining us now with more on a free event that's helping to educate the community about early detection, clinical trials, and innovations in surgery, Mary Jimenez, Alamo City Breast Cancer Council board member, along with Dr. Sharon Wilkes, the Alamo City Cancer Council director, founder, and an oncologist. Thank you so much for being here this morning, ladies. I want to make sure I get through everyone's title because they're very important. You guys have done quite a lot for our community, especially with this event that you guys have been putting together now in the 8th year. And we'll talk a little bit more about this event, the Breast Cancer Update, in just a bit. But first, Dr. Wilkes, will you tell me a little bit about the creation first of the Alamo City Cancer Council?
Well, it evolved after working with a lot of groups who do a lot of hard work for breast cancer survivors in our community. So American Cancer Society, the Komen for Cure. We all got together and we really felt like there was a gap or a void in our community for educating the public about all the new evolving treatments and discoveries for breast cancer. And at first I used to call it Dr. Wilkes's program, but I didn't think that that was fair because this really was to be a representation of all the community and many of the patients who are treated by others as well as me. And so we decided to have this annual program, of course, fitting for the time period for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we decided to make it a formal nonprofit organization just about the mission of educating. Education is empowering. I think if you have a foundation and understanding of where we are, you can make impact in terms of improvements for tomorrow. So we really wanted to focus on that. We had this program. We also, in fairness to you, wanted to develop a booklet that gave information for individuals when you've just been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Where do I go from here?
Where do I go from here? What am I likely to get? What are the treatments that might be available for me? And so it was very easy to think about a title of a booklet. I've just been diagnosed with breast cancer. What's next? And so that really was the sort of beginning stages of the foundation, and we did do that. In fact, there's so many new discoveries. We just updated about a year ago, and we broadened our scope, though our focus this month is about breast cancer. We also have looked at other cancers that are common to individuals in our community and written booklets for them as well.
And in fact, Mary, you have a sample of the booklets that are available not just in English, but I see that you have them in Spanish as well. What can you tell me about, I mean, I don't want to put, I personally have never walked in the shoes of someone who's been diagnosed with breast cancer, but I can only imagine the sense of relief that they must have when they're handed something like this that essentially then becomes a guide for what they do next.
Correct. It's a stepping stone. So they're, as you mentioned, they're very overwhelmed when they first diagnosed, and so Dr. Wilkes sees these patients every day and was profoundly asked so many questions about what to expect, and a lot of times those questions don't come up immediately. They come up afterwards. So these books are basically able to help those patients think the kind of questions that they need to ask so they can better understand their disease.
So even just in terms of guiding them through their diagnosis with what to expect, and even possibly opening up the door to questions that they may not have even considered because they're dealing right now just with the overwhelming diagnosis.
And the emotions, yeah.
But with illustrations and things, it simplifies sort of the things. There's different terms. We do lymph node sampling. What is that? Lumpectomy, mastectomy, reconstruction, things that they might not have entertained or thought about. It helps them sort of see those kinds of things. And breast cancer is always complex, so there's different targets and approaches that we do, and it really addresses those kinds of things in a simplistic way for folks to understand.
And from this book, from this original idea, from Dr. Wilkes's program, you have grown now into this breast cancer update that the council hosts every year annually in October, of course, in awareness of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And Mary, what can you tell me about this event? What is the idea? What is the mission, the goal?
The goal is to educate the community on current updates related to breast cancer. For October, obviously, we do breast cancer awareness, and so we have a committee, and as Dr. Wilkes mentioned earlier, it is based off of a council of people that are involved with breast cancer, like Susan G. Komen, SLU, American Cancer Society, There is other breast cancer centers, thought leaders that work in breast cancer that are also on our committee. And what we do is we have surveys every year that come back, and we look at topics that are of interest to the community. And so we take those topics to heart, and so we create a program around those requests. This year it's going to be women looking at young women that are diagnosed, newly diagnosed, because we have a lot of young survivors that have different needs than what a patient that is more elderly diagnosed with breast cancer. We also are covering nutrition and diet and exercise. We have a founder on DIVA, Dr. Amy Lang, who will be speaking on nutrition and diet and exercise, which has been a phenomenal program as well. We are also reaching out to Latino women. We feel like that is very important living in South Texas. We have a large Hispanic market, and so we have actually Dr. Gladys Rodriguez, who will be speaking on that topic as well, and being able to talk to the Hispanic women that are newly diagnosed with breast cancer and also living with breast cancer right now.
So we're talking about almost a compilation of the best of the experts in our field, the doctors, all of those, thinkers that are helping to move us forward in terms of research and cures and treatments and clinical studies, as we mentioned, and in a one-stop shop environment so that you can get access to all of those resources. So let's put some information up on the screen for our viewers at home so you know exactly what we're talking about. The 8th annual Alamo City Breast Cancer Update taking place on Saturday, October 9th from 8:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're gonna go through the itinerary here for you folks. You'll see why it's an all-day event, and certainly one that you're gonna wanna make yourself available for. At the UT Health Science Center School of Medicine, again, it is free and open to the public. And for more information, head to alamo citycancercouncil.org/breast. Dr. Wilkes and of course Mary, jump in here as well. Can we talk about some of these, scheduled topics? So again, our viewers at home can have a sense from the surveys that were filled out last year, what the attendants then said the participants wanted and desired of this year. What can you expect?
Well, one thing, after a person goes through treatment or during treatment, there's aspects of coping with the diagnosis. And so in the afternoon, we're going to talk about some special problems that patients have. Memory problems, fatigue problems. How do you get back to normal when you don't necessarily feel normal? The hairs come back, but how do I adjust and get back to things? So we have a focus on coping with cancer.
Okay.
Also, a very common aspect that happens to women of all ages with breast cancer and the avoidance of estrogen is sexual dysfunction. And so we're actually going to focus on this as a common problem amongst women. A lot of people don't talk about it. And there are actually some simple measures that can be done, and we have a urologist in town who's very familiar and who helps women out with different measures that can very much be helpful in this area, which is an important part of the relationship that you might lose, particularly after breast surgery and a lot of changes.
And making sure that you feel womanly enough to even desire intimacy. So you guys will talk about something like that.
Absolutely.
What else will you guys be talking about, Mary?
Nutrition and diet. We have actually a keynote speaker, additionally to Dr. Amy Lang, who will be talking about the DIVA program. We also have a keynote speaker this year. We're very excited for the University of Pittsburgh. Leslie Bonse. She is a dietitian, and she actually works with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, wow.
But her full-time job actually
So even if you're a Cowboys fan, we still recommend that you come out.
Leslie Bonse actually has her own talk show as well in the Philadelphia area, and she talks about the importance of nutrition and diet. Just for everybody it's important. So you can imagine just with a patient going through cancer treatment, they, as Dr. Wilkes mentioned, they're extremely fatigued. They need to have the right source of energy of food, proper foods.
Their immune system is already a little bit more embattled. And so we want to make sure we're giving them the proper nutrients to sort of fuel them through the day.
Absolutely.
In terms of the other programs, one of the ones that caught my eye and that we talk about every October, every time we talk about breast cancer awareness, is early detection and just discussion in terms of family history and opening up dialogue and not being afraid to talk about the fact that you should be getting monthly breast exams and that you certainly should be getting screened if you're at risk. What are the important statistics? What is the important, information you want to make sure our viewers at home
Well, first of all, I'm glad you brought it up because more than anything, I think it's very important for women at risk to get screening for early detection. As an oncologist, I can tell you that I see a lot of individuals survive breast cancer today when they're early detected. So mammography, though there was some controversies in the last 6 to 12 months about certain age groups, is vital. And so you should start regular imaging at age 40 unless there is a family history that can discover lesions when it's early. And individuals who are diagnosed with early stage breast cancer at 5 years, over 95% of them are cancer free.
And that's an incredible statistic, and one that should provide a lot of women with hope.
Absolutely.
And also with the determination and conviction to make sure that they get in for those screenings.
Absolutely. And so we're going to have a radiologist speak to that and really dwell on the importance of mammography. It can be life-saving.
Now, Mary, I know this is going to seem like an odd question, but do you recommend this breast cancer update for women specifically who've already been diagnosed with breast cancer or who are already going through the process, or survivors? Or would you say that this would be open and that you suggest that it be open to all women living in the San Antonio community?
I would think it's for all women because the early detection part is going to be for a person that needs to know the risks and the benefits of going in and getting their mammogram. As Dr. Wilkes shared, you know, your chances at beating this disease is going to be early. And I certainly think that a patient being diagnosed, living with the disease, both need to be at a program like this because the breast cancer treatments have changed so much, and survival is definitely out there for those patients, and they're beating this disease. And I think education is critical for those patients to be able to make those right choices with their physicians. And this is a perfect opportunity for them to be able to do that.
And no better way to end that. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here this morning. And for all of our viewers at home, don't worry, this information on our website at foxsanantonio.com. We'll be right back with your community calendar.